I think there. Is that working? Okay, that's working. That's working. And I think this video is also ready to be rendered, saved, so I don't have to do it again later. And then GRP episode 7, 8, 35 gigs. Fuck. All right, I'm ready.
Damn,
Yeah, 35 gigs, bro. And I have
that's a
260.
lot. You got the cowboy hat. I'm glad you got your gimmick going.
I got my cowboy hat
Jeez.
today. I was, like I said, I was on my bed, so I was like, you know what, today I'm gonna grab it. But now this is all you see because if I lean,
Well, you're the cowboy, so you gotta have your gimmick.
as long as I
Yeah.
don't stand up, I don't have any pants on. I only have underwear. Yeah, I'm home. I was gonna put
Good
it,
to
but I was
know.
like, as long as I don't stand.
I'm still completely dressed, obviously. I got home. Olivia went to her overnight client, and I'm here by myself, but I am always dressed. I'm a weird fucking person. You never know when you're going to have to get the fuck out of the house. You know what I
That's
mean?
true. That's true. Luckily for
Yeah.
me, my pants are pajama based, so I can just like whoop, easily.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know. It's just like, it's just one of those things where, like, in the panic, oh
Hmm.
shit, I can't find my pants. So,
Exactly. Exactly. All right.
right.
Welcome everyone. Welcome back to Mark's Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Cowboy Burrito. Actually, we're your host, Cowboy Burrito. I'm so used to introducing just by myself. And my co-host, Texan Nightmare. And today, we have a lot of news wise. There are a lot of big things. I should actually pull up the notes
And
too.
there's a lot of matches to go over the past 2 weeks, too, or the past week too. But at least it's not as crazy as last week's episode. So
Yeah, exactly. Where is he? Where is he? There he is. All right. So we're gonna go over once again last Friday SmackDown, this week's Raw, and I actually don't remember what happened. If anything, and I guess the usual tidbits when it comes to NXT and AEW. You know, at the end of the
yeah, there's a few tidbits of
yeah.
AEW to talk about for sure.
All right,
Even
I
though
definitely
I hate to admit that I watched it this week, but I watched AEW last night. So
there we go. I mean, like you said, there are big things to go off with that one. So
yeah,
I'll have you start off with last Friday's SmackDown because I was not available around the time. Um, so you have Sheamus versus Solo. You said it right
yeah,
here, starting out with a banger. I kind of wish I watched that, but that's fine.
yeah. It was a
Slowly
great
becoming.
match. I mean, it was
I was gonna say I'm slowly becoming a fan of Sheamus. Uh, because he's
right.
been a, like a upper mid card most of the time. He's been feuding with I think the first time I got back into wrestling, he was feuding with Jeff Hardy, and they had that the
The
bar.
piss segment.
Oh no, I was
Oh, the
gonna say the
bar.
bar.
Okay,
Yeah, the bar segment where they were
okay,
where Jeff won. Um,
okay.
what else happened in that match?
Well,
You said Finn
I
Balor
mean,
showed up, of
of
course. But what
yeah,
else happened?
Solo won, and after that, the Bloodline attacked Sheamus and basically put his arm in a steel chair, put it on the steel steps, and then smashed the shit out of his arm. So
Okay, okay.
you know, it was a good match, and then Solo and Sheamus are both two like brawler type guys. So throughout the match, they kick the hell out of each other, and Sheamus is just good with everybody. I mean, it's always how it's been.
Mm-hmm.
So. Uh, It just looks like it's going to end up being like a Bloodline versus the Brawling Brutes type thing, maybe, or the Brutes versus the Usos for the tag titles, something like that in the works, I guess.
Do you think Sheamus is gonna be the next victim for Roman Reigns?
He
Mr.
might.
Logo?
I mean, unfortunately, he might be because they fed Drew McIntyre to him in a way, so
And
it
plus
would make sense that Sheamus would be the next victim.
and he's really hot right now.
But yeah, but see, that's the thing though. Like why? I mean, I hope he's not because he's doing well with what he's doing. We all could watch Sheamus and Gunther go every fucking week, and be totally fine with it. Now, I don't know. I mean, it's a different day and age where if you lose to Roman, I mean, it doesn't really drop you down the card as much as it used to, but they've built Sheamus up. He's done such a good job that I feel like it would be a little unfair to have him get run over by Roman, but that's how it works sometimes.
Yeah.
So you build people up so that your champion can look stronger, and they put on a good match, I'm sure, because they're both. It's like him and Solo, both brawlers, big guys. It would be a Haas match type thing. So they might be heading that way, or they could just be headed with maybe Sheamus going to take some time off, and the Brutes are going to go after the Usos. I mean, we don't know because Sheamus has been going hard since
Clash.
COVID, Clash, for the past few years, dude. So
I was
maybe he'll get some time off.
I was actually upset when they teased Lashley versus Sheamus last year.
That would be fun. Yeah.
I was so upset because it was during the time when Vince will just randomly tear up the whole script and rewrite the whole show. And then the following week they never mention it again. I'm just like, no! They had the disagreement. They don't like each other. Well, I think it was during the Almighty heel run. So, like I said, I was kind of upset they never went back to that. I thought they would. That would have been great. I would have.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that could happen down the line too. I mean,
hopefully.
I don't know if Lashley is going to be in any title picture. I mean, maybe after Lesnar he goes back after the U.S. title, but they could very well meet up somewhere along the line. They have to. I mean, if they don't, that's a missed opportunity. But there's lots of missed opportunities in history. So at least the script's not being really ripped up, and we're not being treated like idiots anymore. So that's a plus.
I agree. It's not like a super last minute. Each show, flows really well. It'll make you watch. The past few
And there's
weeks
so
I've
much
seen-
more wrestling too. Like you look at our notes. I mean, there's like 5-6 matches almost every night. And it's just, and then every Raw for the most part is ending with the title match or a big main event these days, not some stupid segment. It's all around different.
I'm definitely like back then I would like let Raw play in the background while I either take a nap or do something else. Now I have it up. Sure, I'll be like playing or something, but I'll be like constantly watching up and down.
See, and that's what I used to do too for a long time. Is I would have Raw on my one TV and then playing video games on the other, and just kind of going back and forth. But nowadays, I find myself more like into it. Since the White Rabbit stuff, you really have to pay attention to everything that's going on, or you're gonna miss some things. So
For me,
that's a
it's not
fresh
even-
thing.
Yeah, I would agree. For me, it's not even that. It's just like what made me love wrestling growing up is the actual matches. Not like making and all the most of the stars they produce they feature has that larger than life characters. Lesnar versus Lashley, everyone's excited for that. The OC versus Judgment Day stuff, I think I'm definitely enjoying a lot more than before. I'm paying, like you said, I'm paying a lot more attention to the product rather than just letting it play out in the background as I eat my edamames. This is my dinner. But yeah,
That's your dinner, Jesus.
I had a buffet today. So I was like, I should slow down.
Damn. Yeah.
My coworkers invited me. Anyway, I can't stand. Oh no. Anyway, next up is the segment between Ray and the Imperium.
Ludwig and Vinci. That was funny, man, because Ray's just walking in, and he's got his intercontinental shot against Gunther, and he's walking in, and he makes Ludwig and Vinci look like they're 12 feet tall. It was the funniest thing in the world. And then he's like, if one of y'all want to fight, let's fight. And see, that's another thing that they've been doing a lot is like backstage segments leading to matches later in the night. I've noticed.
Yes.
Like that's happening quite a lot lately, which is good, but also too, it's going to get played out after a while too. So they have to kind of watch it with that. But it was just a funny segment because you're looking at Ray and you're looking at Ludwig, and me, I'm like, he's not that big of a guy, but Ray makes everybody look just huge.
I make everyone look big because I'm fucking short.
Dude, you next to Rey Mysterio, you'd probably look like a giant. So that's the thing. He's so small. But he's also, it's like you said earlier, Rey Mysterio's still a larger than life character, even though he's like 5 foot nothing tall. That's the beauty of what we watch.
And he's not being held down by Dominic.
Because
Dominic is doing his own thing.
Something that's funny is I'm going to talk about one of the top fives I did. I did the most overrated, overexposed WWE superstars, and one person was like, why is Dominic not on this list? And it's like, we all know Dominic sucks, okay?
Yeah.
So why is he going to be on a top 5 list when we all already know that he sucks? It's a little too obvious, right? Like,
he's not even overrated.
No, he's getting better, I guess. But they should have did him like they're doing the Rock's daughter and have him start in NXT from the bottom and work his way up. But we can't go back on that. Now he's got Rhea and all that. So plus the Judgment Day was already kind of stagnant when he joined it too, and we all saw it coming from a mile away
Everyone wanted it.
that he was I didn't want it. I wanted a swerve. I wanted it to where like Ray joined the Judgment Day and turned heel for the first time in his career. That would be cool. That would be something that everybody would talk about. Dominic is just like, oh, okay, like we saw that coming. Thanks. Let's see. And I mean, his promo skills have gotten a little bit better. And, and plus he's in the ring with guys like AJ and Carl Anderson and people like that. And they are going to elevate him because they're just good with anybody they work with and they sell their ass off. So it's a good spot, but we'll see, I guess, after this OC thing is over with, where they go next and see if there really has been progression or if it's just the people around him are elevating him,
I'm actually curious on what's going to happen after the OC stuff with Judgment Day. Who's the next,
Oh, here comes Edge. He's back.
Once again.
That's probably what's going to happen, though. And then they're going to leave.
Later.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it later. We're still on SmackDown.
Right.
Up next is this Bray Wyatt segment.
Oh God.
I miss a lot of the. As you can tell, I don't really watch SmackDown now. So, what was that? What was that phrase? You know what? Take it over, my guy.
Okay, so it was a great promo. The problem was they were playing his music in the background, and the music was drowning out my guy's voice. I mean, you had to turn you had to turn the closed captions on to see what he was saying, and I saw some people were like, well, that's what he does. He speaks softly so people listen. That's fine, but turn the music down so people can hear you. It like took away from the segment. It would have been great, because he was talking about how, after last week he didn't get to finish, and everybody might think that he's going to be different this time around, but he's not. He's still going to do absolutely horrible things, except for this time he's not going to be apologetic about it. That stuff is great, but then when you've got the music pounding in the background, like it's a little too much to handle. At least it was for me. And like I said, I had to turn the captions on to be able to see what Buddy was saying. But it was a good little promo. I mean, he's obviously going to be extremely a fucked up character this time around. It looks like. So, and then they did the shit. That may have been that was let's see. Okay, so then I'll go ahead and fast forward because there's two Bray segments, and then later on in the show there was a spooky mashup of the masked Bray character, and then they introduced Uncle Howdy, which
Which one
everybody's
is that
kind
one?
of wondering. I don't know.
Well, I
It's
mean,
a new character.
oh, it's a new character. It's not one of
Yeah,
the Firefly Funhouse.
no, I don't
Hmm.
think so. I don't. I had never heard of Uncle Howdy before until this point, and then it was like you don't know who it is. Some people are saying it's Bo Dallas. Some people are saying, oh, it's just a puppet, or it's just all these different things. And then there was a QR code that led to a mental hospital form with Bray Wyatt's information, and then there was a number at the top right corner. And if you called it, it was this really, really spooky thing. I don't even remember what it said, but it was something along the lines of like, I did something and I'm gonna do it again and I'm gonna do it again, and then it would hang up. It was
Oh,
freaking creepy as hell, dude. And like I wouldn't have ever even thought about calling that number until the people on the internet were like, "Oh, call the number at the top right hand corner," because it was like his mental hospital number or something like that.
sorry for
And it
everyone.
just
Sorry for everyone. I'm snacking right now. I'm so sorry if you can just hear me snacking. But yes, I'm sorry for
terrible
cutting you
form,
off.
man. Terrible form. Terrible form.
It's so
Crunch,
good.
crunch, crunch, crunch.
Exactly. Is it too loud?
It's all good, dude. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Is it? I'm just hoping it's not too loud, honestly. Because I'm like, they're really hard, so they're like crunchy. My bad. Sorry. Continue what you're saying.
Well, that was pretty much it for the Bray segments in the show. And then after the first Bray segment was another glorious bloodline segment where Jay wanted to jump Logan Paul, and Sammy stepped in and was like, "Look, no, like the tribal chief doesn't want that. He wants Logan Paul to be fresh. He wants no excuses." And Jay was like, "Oh, well, I'm a hothead," the typical Jay stuff with Sammy. And then Sammy looked for at Jimmy for
Oh, okay. I've seen this segment.
approval, and
And
he was like, my dog," and
I've seen this
it
segment.
just it's just every one of the bloodline segments doesn't miss these days, especially since they added Sammy.
Yeah,
Um,
it feels like I get it, but like how silly they are, and then Jay is like the angry one.
he's the
Uh,
bulldog, and then Solo Sokoa just sits there all quiet and everything with that fucking
always on throne.
asshole look on his face. So yeah, and then it just all the bloodline stuff is great, and people are getting tired of it, or sometimes it seems like they get tired of it. But since they added Sammy, I think that most
It's
people,
freshen up. We're freshen it up.
yeah, it's freshened it up, and I just don't know where it's going to lead, and I guess we'll find out.
Yeah,
We'll find out.
I guess that's the beauty with WWE now. You like you don't really know where they're going. Back like last year, we're just like, oh, watch this happens or watch how this plays out, and it always plays out how we always predicted. Whereas this year it's just like, let's see where it goes. We don't know where it's gonna go. We don't know what
Right?
Triple H's plans for this character. Like Bray
Yeah, and it's and
Wyatt's
it's
bloodline.
it,
Sure we know
it's just one of
bloodline's
those
just gonna
things.
win, but we don't know. We can all we can do is speculate who their next victims are, how they're gonna, like how their segments. Oh, who's gonna betray who? It might be leading up to Sammy, uh, betraying one the bloodline soon, or towards WrestleMania or whatnot. It's
Yeah,
just great. It's just great.
and I feel like the less important stuff, like the mid card and lower card stuff, is still a little predictable, right? But the important thing
The
is that
hype.
the big angles
Hmm.
and the main card, mid card, or high mid card stuff is way more unpredictable. I mean, we still get things right, but that's just because it's just wrestling, and you follow
If you
the
know it,
pattern.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, Liv Morgan versus Sonya Deville. I didn't even know Liv Morgan was in Chucky till this past week.
Yeah, right. And everybody hated it apparently because everybody these days is just shitting
I'm
on Liv Morgan.
I like Chucky. The TV series I watched it a few weeks ago. It was great.
Hmm.
I'm just waiting for the season to finish, and I'm gonna binge that shit again. But I'm not.
Yeah, that's how
All I
I
know,
am
she
too.
got.
I don't.
All I know, she got killed. I mean, what more can you expect? It's a Chucky series. Everyone dies. But yeah.
Hmm.
So anyway, Liv Morgan versus Sonya. I forgot Sonya still works in the company. I
Hmm.
barely.
And
I think the last time I saw her was on NXT or something.
yeah, that was last week where
Oh,
she
that
was
was
on
last week.
NXT and
Oh.
she attacked her or a couple weeks ago when she attacked Alba Fire because she was going after Mandy Rose. But yeah, and it was a good match. I mean, it was more so just based on, continuously building up Liv as this fucking crazy person. Everybody's calling her Liv Hardy now. And, it was just the commentary was overly stressful of how she's changed in character. And sometimes I think that's a little, like, I understand commentary is supposed to,
Tell the
complement
story.
and further things. But to me, it's becoming a little bit too much. Where it's like if Liv is showing it enough that her character's changing, you don't have to be telling us every 2 seconds. Oh, look how crazy she's gotten. This isn't the Liv we know. Like it's a little too much. And she was enjoying quote unquote getting her ass kicked by Sonya until she turned around the match, and then just started wailing on her outside of the ring for a double count out, and then superplexed her on a mess of chairs, and I guess it was 6 chairs. It was some like demonic number that everybody on the internet was like, "Did you notice how many chairs Liv Morgan used? She used 6. What does this mean?" And it's like probably doesn't mean anything, right? Like,
I mean, at this point, everyone's just like that, you know.
but see, that's a good thing though because that's
Yeah.
what has happened now because of the White Rabbit stuff and all the other little intricacies.
Now
Everybody's paying
everyone's
uber
looking
attention.
the little
So
details, see what connects. I like it. I
right.
like it.
Right, so
Uh,
that was fun, and then after that match was an LA Knight vignette, just showcasing, how he's the megastar of SmackDown, and is some highlights from NXT, the lavish lifestyle he lives, all that
yeah.
stuff. Basically making him into the super rich star type heel guy. So that
Okay.
was fun.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody knows I love LA Knight, so
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said many of times before, I've had only like a small glimpse of him from NXT, and I could see star power on that guy. Like maybe maybe even if not so close to like the top dogs like Rock, Stone Cold, Cena, Shawn. At least like he's up there, like very close.
see, and the way I look at him is like he's going to end up being like everybody says that MJF is just a knockoff Miz, right? Which is complete bullshit. But I think that LA Knight's going to end up being like a more badass Miz character, right? Like that's probably what it's going to end up happening. But he's
Uh,
also a little bit older too, so we'll see how long he's got. I mean, he's in his mid-30s already, so I see that he'd probably be used as like a Miz type heel, but hopefully he actually wins some matches
oh yeah, for
too,
sure, for sure. If Miz
But
can be a what 2-time Grand Slam champion, they can work
that's some
something out.
shit,
Yeah, and
right?
they can work something out with LA Knight for sure.
And seeing the thing is too about the Miz is people hate on the guy because he doesn't work a crazy style in the ring. But something that you have to understand about him is his character was never built on in-ring ability,
He was
and that's a
never
lot of
built
things.
in built. He's
No,
a performer.
and right, and see, and that's what a lot of people struggle to realize is that like in-ring shit is just one small part of being a fucking wrestler. And I deal with that stuff a lot with the top fives I've been doing, where people are like, "Oh, why is this person on the list?" And it's like, well, look at all they've done to further themselves in the company, not just in the ring. Their character work, the way they've grown as a character, the way they've elevated themselves and other people, and the way they've elevated like people are telling me that China doesn't belong on the top 5 women's. Dude, China is like one of the first women that you actually took seriously because she was beating the shit out of men and won the Intercontinental Championship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she elevated. It's the same thing with the Miz. Like, you may hate him because his wife's hot, he's got a great life, all
But
that
that's his
shit. But you
character.
got to,
That's him.
yeah, and you've
He
got to
came
give the man his
from
props. The
exactly,
real
and
world,
he came. No, I mean, I was gonna say he came from like Tough Enough, which, some may have become actual like wrestlers, but most like for the Miz, from the get go, he was what doing. I think he mentioned it on one of the documentaries on WWE.
he was basically just a host for a while because he was in the real world,
Mhm.
the
And
real
he
world
looked like that
MTV.
reality star, and it worked
Right.
so well. He managed to make and of course, like everyone, when he first showed up in WWE, I didn't like him. I thought he looked awful.
Right.
Then, looking back, I never realized that he was wearing a bandana underneath the fedora. Glad he changed his attire. You know, I
Right.
like his style right now. He looks like that. He has that
A
millionaire
star.
class exactly. Whereas back
And
then
he's
he just
also,
looks like a douchebag reality star.
which was what he was supposed to do back then.
Exactly.
See, and he played it perfectly. And another thing about the Miz too is he's the guy that the company can call on to do anything they need him to do. They need him to do an interview, he can do it. A
Easy.
movie, he can do it. A TV
Hmm.
show, he can fucking do it.
Yeah,
And
because
that's the stuff a lot of people can't do.
and
So
everyone knows that, like, either if it's Mike or Miz, in order for the character Miz to work, you need to put the camera on him.
mhm.
Yeah. So I like it. I mean, I've been ever since I don't even want to say it. Like, ever since I got back, I've been a fan of the Miz. And when I got back, I was surprised about the Miz's still being in WWE, because all I remember him from was the whole reality star douchebag.
See, and another thing too about him too is that I don't think he's ever had a severe injury in the like 20 years that he's been in the business.
The
Like that dude has,
concussion, yeah, I mean, he had a
yeah,
concussion during the WrestleMania match with Cena, and like leg injury last year, or yeah, last year during Backlash, or
yeah, but he's never missed, three
oh yeah,
plus months at a time.
and yeah, I was about to say he was working, pulling off the wheelchair gimmick with Morrison. Then everyone later found out that he's been healed for weeks. But anyway, we digress. We digress. We're
Yeah.
reminiscing the past. Moving on to Braun versus Omos. When they stood face to face, I did not expect Braun to be that much shorter. I was
Right?
really surprised. I saw like a little video, and I was like, from afar, you'd be like, I probably like 2 inches, 3 inches. No, it
Right.
was just like a whole
Like a
hand.
foot.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I was like,
That shocked me
what?
too.
I was like, no way, no way, fucking Braun is that like that look that small compared to Omos. I mean, I know Omos is a giant, but I did not know he's that kind of a giant.
But
He is
then that's
tall.
where I guess that's why that WWE keeps holding on to his ass
Yeah.
because he's a legitimate giant. I mean, and Braun is a legitimate giant too. But Omos, that is
Made him,
I'm like you.
he made Braun look short, dude.
Yeah, I whenever they said he was 7'3" or whatever, I was like, okay, like they're embellishing, like they
No,
always do. No, that dude's legit 7 foot tall. Like,
yeah.
and it's just I still think Braun's gonna beat him though. I
I mean,
mean, he's got
obviously,
to.
yeah, yeah. Unless
I mean,
I mean, oh, excuse me. I mean, Omar. If they really want to push Omar, it will be a very surprising win. But this will be like I guess the start of his like a bigger push, not like a monster push, but just like
mhm.
here's him versus Gunther in, like, I would say in like 4 months, 5 months, maybe sometime next year, or somewhere along those lines. Not maybe even a year, but we will finally see him would he improve, or would he become the next great Kali? Who knows?
I think that he's already improved, right? Like he's gotten better since he's gotten in better shape.
Mm-hmm.
He's his facials are a lot better. I think that he has already improved a lot. But my problem is I think things too logically, and it's where if Amos beats Braun, he can beat anybody, right? Like he could beat Roman, he could beat Bray Wyatt, he could beat everybody. So it's a matter of like, and then you think about it too, like what if they're fighting at Crown Jewel and then all of a sudden we hear, well, it's the big show, and then it's like, then you've got like three giants, and then that's like a Survivor Series match or some shit. It's just I kind of see too where it could end up being like a double count out or a double DQ, some screwy finish, which WWE's been doing a lot lately. So
especially to protect their the people they want, to protect their stars like Braun. I'm sure Triple H is gonna try to protect Braun as much
I
as
hope so,
possible. Yeah.
because I'm a big Braun fan, and I don't see, and that's where too is like I don't know how Triple H feels about Braun. I guess because I guess he resigned. No, he resigned him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously
It was
Triple H
after
likes Braun.
it was after
Yeah.
Triple
So
H took over. He was
after
literally
Vince
the first
left,
one.
yeah,
One of the
yeah.
first
Well,
ones.
after Bailey and Dakota Kai, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't know. I love Braun. A lot of people don't like him, but I think Braun's
I
gotten a
like
hell of a
him.
lot better on the mic. He's gotten better on the mic. He's
And
more menacing, I guess, and
out
ripped.
of every giant that they hired, he's the most athletic one outside of like Kane and Taker. I mean, I'm sure.
Oh, Kane when he was under the mask and when he first came in, that's a different level of fucking jacked. That dude
I was about to
must,
say, how
yeah, like
Kane. I mean, he still moves around, but he was still performing. If they want to replicate that for Amos, he doesn't have to be super athletic, but he has to show that he's a monstrous character like Kane was
right.
back
He's
then.
still missing that it factor too,
Yeah,
right? Like Kane
yeah.
had, Kane was the demon son, the demon brother of the
Of
Undertaker. Andre the Giant was Andre the Giant. The Big Show when he first broke into WCW was Andre the Giant's son. Braun, broke in with Bray and was part of the Wyatt family. So he has MVP, but who is he, right? Like, is he just a Nigerian giant? Like, if
yeah.
that's the case, then there's only so far you can take it, and that's where I kind of feel like NXT could use a badass giant, and that's where, like, I feel like if Braun wins, send Omos down to NXT, let him run roughshod down there for a while, and then
I
bring him
was
back up in a
I
year or
was about to
so.
say, don't they have what's his name, Commander Aziz?
Dude, that dude hasn't been seen in forever, man.
He was seen once in like a live show, and that was it.
Yeah, like he's probably gonna be released, I'm sure.
I mean, if
But
anything, if they want to emphasize on the Nigerian giant, give him to Apollo Cruz and have Apollo Cruz go back to his Apollo Prince gimmick.
oh
They
my
actually,
god,
because
no.
honestly, like when he announced Commander Aziz was his guard, I'm just like, I mean, he's not Nigerian.
That was a hugely missed opportunity where they could have paired him with Omos if they were really gonna
Exactly.
go. But that's where Vince just unfortunately had just completely lost touch.
Mhm.
So and he just did shit for his own entertainment at times too, and I think that's what it was. And as a wrestler, Apollo Crews obviously is not going to be like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get a paycheck. He's going to fucking do it. So
Yeah.
it's
But yeah,
just,
like I said, just a complete missed opportunity. Even if he doesn't like it, at least if it just makes more sense if he got paired with Omos rather than Omos with AJ Styles, and they could start out both in like lower mid card. Oh,
see, and that's what's funny is I even sometimes forget that Omos and AJ Styles were together.
I
Like
forgot.
that's like,
Every time I see like that kind of, every time I see that history, I'm just like, oh, that's fucking right. Oh my god,
yeah,
never mind. AJ was with
forgettable.
Omos. Mm-hmm. And I feel like being paired with Omos just hurt AJ a little bit because he tried his best to promote Omos, and all it did was move Omos to MVP. At least MVP is not doing anything, in ring wise since he's
Right.
injured. He's a great mic guy too.
Mouthpiece. Yeah. Good mouthpiece.
Anyway,
Very much. On to the next
tag
segment.
championship match. Damage Control versus Raquel and Shotzi. Another random team for Raquel.
It was a good match. It was a lot of choreographed shit, though. It's I don't see with I don't know, man. It seems like I don't know if it's Dakota Kai and Io Sky or if it's just the type of match they want to have, but every time they're in a match, there's so many choreographed high spots. Like, you see them waiting for each other. You see, Raquel picking up Shotzi to throw over the top rope onto Io and Dakota, and they're all just standing there. And it's like, come on, like,
Make it
let's do
better.
Yeah,
That's I did notice that with I don't want to say Money in the Bank because that was so long ago. That was way before Triple H time. But I remember watching it, and all I could think of is like, man, they are taking their sweetest. Oh, I think it was Money in the Bank, and I love the women's division nowadays. It's more fleshed out. It's way more athletic, but at the same time, they're still missing the flow from the men's division. Especially with older high like Rey Mysterio, of course. Obviously, he was the high flyer of all time. He makes every spot feel very natural.
right.
Whereas, like you said, the women's division, they tend to think about it first and be like, okay, I can do it. Then they do the spot
Well,
while
yeah,
everyone else is waiting for them.
and I
It's
agree
just
with what you're
obvious.
saying with the mid card and lower card women.
Hmm.
With the top of the line women like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bailey, Charlotte,
Then
Bianca, they flow. They
yeah, they
flow.
flow really well. Bianca with Becky flow really well. Bianca with it just works so well. But anything mid card or lower, it's just that
And also
they
too, another thing that
flow.
I wonder is as far as like when with Raquel, is that maybe it's not Raquel, but it's the other ones that are working with her aren't used to working with a woman that's like twice their size.
I mean, Dakota did
So,
work with her though.
well, yeah, no, right, I know, but
But
there's
then
still going to
again,
be some of that trepidation, right?
yeah,
Like, and I mean, but
especially
Dakota Kai is good, but maybe it's just chemistry between, because I've noticed it more so between the Kai and Sky, and whenever Raquel is facing them, no matter who her tag team partner is, maybe it's just a chemistry thing where they just don't have the greatest chemistry together, the three of
yeah,
them. You know.
and especially
Now,
like if maybe they Kai and Raquel have it, but when it comes to other people, I'm sure Kai is informing them, okay, this is how we used to do it, get here, yada yada yada, and then Raquel does her stuff, but at the same time she has to communicate with her partner, so it's just a lot more. Let's get everything sorted and then do the spot. I can't fault them, but at the same time,
yeah, I
it's
mean, I couldn't do the
pretty
shit they do,
obvious. Exactly,
but
it's just obvious. You can tell, you can see it.
and I
I
think
just
there's
think it's
something to be
better.
said too that maybe Raquel and Kai have great chemistry working together, but then when they're going against each other, it's just a different animal. You
Exactly,
know?
because they're not really communicating together.
Mm-hmm.
They're communicating for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So and we all know messages can come muddy most of the time. So it
Well,
might
and you
as
can
well.
choreograph the fuck out of any match too, and then you get out there and everything goes to shit, and then you have to
Exactly.
start improvising.
Exactly. So
And
it's up
that's
to
when the
you as well.
greats shine. So,
Hmm. Anyway,
and then
moving
after
on.
after that match, is the Ronda Rousey backstage segment where she makes it clear she doesn't care about the fans. she's out here to prove she's the best, and that there will be an
Open
open
challenge.
challenge next
Okay.
week, which I'm not sure who's gonna
I could
answer
be.
the challenge.
Hey, one day Charlotte will be back, and
I
probably
mean,
challenge
everybody thought
Ronda.
Charlotte was gonna. I mean, we're gonna talk about this later on, but everybody thought Charlotte was gonna be the one coming back this week on Raw.
Oh
You
yeah, that's
know,
right for Bailey versus
but
Bianca.
I
Which
love Charlotte Flair, so she can't come back quick enough.
yeah.
So, in my opinion,
We already
but
talked about the next Bray Wyatt
mm-hmm.
segment. So next up is the Legado del Fantasma segment. So what happened here? What should I give
It's just really just a segment trying to get the WWE universe to know what LDF, I guess, is about and why Zelina joined them, and it's all about because they're the best and all that stuff. And they were also talking down on Hit Row, and then you see a camera cut to the locker room where Hit Row's watching on the camera or watching on the little TV. And BFAB's like, oh, I have a plan. And I guess that means they're going to find, a third member to help them in a match against LDF.
and then
So,
he shows up and it's Swerve Strickland. How? We don't know. They never say it. They just went on with it. They're like, oh hey, and that's it. But
well,
anyway,
unfortunately, that ain't going to happen. But,
yeah. Tied up
that's
in
where, dude,
AEW.
Hit Row was like, I mean, nobody can be perfect, but Hit Row shit is literally like the worst signing that Triple H made. They're just,
Probably.
nobody gets them.
Yeah, yeah. Next one is Rey Mysterio versus Ludwig. A match made
Oh
earlier.
my gosh, that match was so good.
Was it really? I need to watch it then.
Dude, Ludwig is so good. People forget because he hasn't wrestled very much. That dude fucking goes in the ring. And him and Ray, their chemistry was on point. Lots of, if it was like, it's that thing. Styles make matches, and Ray works that frantic high flyer pace, and Ludwig is like very slow, methodical, beat the hell out of you type guy, similar to Gunther. And it was just great. And also, Ray did some sort of like tribute to Eddie with the chair, the oh, you hit me, the
Oh,
ref saw, thing, and then went over on Ludwig. So it was just all around a fun match, and
yeah. That's
it
probably
was
a
it was good.
good way to give people a Rey
It should have
Mysterio
ended
match.
the show. They should have let
But
him end the show
yeah,
instead of Logan Paul, but
Logan Paul
eh,
returns. They can do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they can't hide the boos that he's getting, and he was in his home state or whatever, and he was still getting booed, and you can hear the pumped over crowd noise, and he's calling the fans dummies, and it's like, dude, like, are you really still trying to be a babyface, or what are you trying
I
to do? And you
hey,
know,
he may be slowly getting into. He probably think, man, maybe I'll get like I have heat. Maybe he'll turn heel soon after facing Roman or something. Probably. I mean, he has a boxing match on December, so he's probably gonna take it lightly and then come back again. Be work as an actual wrestler.
what do
Not
you think is actually going to happen at Crown Jewel between Paul
He's
and
not gonna
Roman?
win. Yeah, they're just giving. They just need that big presence, like as always. Hence why they always have a Goldberg match every Saudi event. Uh, Elimination Chamber had that. Was in Saudi as well. They needed that grand pizzazz. So having Logan Paul is nice. Roman winning, it's not gonna hurt Logan. Logan is like what two matches in. I don't think it's gonna hurt him. Uh,
Yeah, but
but
also too, that guy and his brother have an affinity of losing stuff. So I have a feeling, I have this just weird feeling that there's going to be some weird shit that's going to happen. Like it's going to be like a DQ win or
it's
something weird.
if anything, it'll probably like if Jake is actually signing with WWE to be with his brother, as a screwy finish like a DQ will work. But if I
See, and
do
that's the
hope
thing
it,
is like,
I'm fine
I
with
don't know,
Logan.
man.
I'm fine with Logan, but if they need that grand, like I said, it's all with Saudi shows. It's all about money and presence. So I'm not too worried about
It's just where you
Roman.
see, I could see where like it's like where they're fighting for a little while. They got you give them like 5 or 10 minutes, and then oh, here comes the bloodline, and they start beating the shit out of Logan, and then boom, here comes Jake Paul officially signed with WWE, and then that's when I'm like, okay, really, like I I don't know. I just think it's crazy. Like I understand, and it's good because that way you don't destroy another character like a Sheamus or
Yeah,
somebody else to lose to Roman, but I just with the way that him and his brother had this affinity of losing and bullshitting boxing matches, it just makes me wonder if like he's actually gonna lose clean or if or if it's gonna be a screwy finish or he's gonna win by DQ. You know what I mean? Like some stupid dumb shit.
I'd be
You know,
surprised. I
and
won't be surprised if the match comes in first. And have like have Roman just squash Logan and say, "Hey, you're not ready for this yet." Yeah, something like that.
I hope so, bro. I
If
really hope so. I sound like Vince Russo, bro.
bro,
But
oh my
I
god,
really
bro.
hope so.
but
Yeah, right. Every
it
sentence.
can work still though. It can still work
Yeah,
whether like I said, Logan losing not gonna affect him much. Roman losing, that's a big deal. You know,
well, and if Roman loses,
I mean loses
I
the
have a
title in a way. He can
yeah.
like if he gets DQ'd, we don't care. He didn't lose the
If he
title.
loses the title,
Exactly, and that's where all hell breaks loose.
yeah, and
But
that's not gonna happen.
yeah,
There's
with
no
Triple
way.
H, yeah, Triple H is all about building storylines, and yeah, I mean, sure, there's a little bit of a storyline with Logan being that fresh guy, always already challenging the goat, like what he did in boxing. But
Well, yeah, but
but
it's
that's
just
that's
stupid.
all that's all the storyline, unless they pull a Bianca, where they build up Logan Paul to be that talented wrestler that he's already talented, but build up his character even more than finally challenging for the title, possibly winning. But that's like maybe what, a year from now, 2 years from I say a year. It's not much
That's
closer to a
that
year.
guy should never touch a title, just like every other celebrity. That's like you remember when WCW put. I mean, you probably don't, but when
David
WCW put the
Archuleta.
title on
Oh, David
David
Arquette.
Arquette,
Yeah, yeah.
that is the exact same thing. I don't care how much work he's put in and how good he
But he's
looks.
more talented still.
But is he though? Because look at the people that he worked with. He worked with the Miz, right? Who puts people over like crazy. He worked against Ray, who puts people over like crazy. We're gonna really find out who he
Yeah,
is if they have a
exactly.
legitimate match against Roman, because Roman is great, but he doesn't sell or put over people like the Miz does
Yeah.
and like Ray does. So we're really
We'll
gonna
see.
see
We'll
what
see.
he
But
and
like,
then.
and then
But
after
I don't
that,
want him ever winning a title. I don't.
I
Plain
can
and
see it
simple.
within a year or two, most likely. Because
I hope not.
out of all the celebrities, he's like the best one, I guess.
Yeah, but here's
Followed
the
by
thing, though, dude. Is like you're. It depends on where Triple H wants to go with this,
exactly.
because Triple H, like, okay, so Vince was all about the kids. Okay,
Hmm.
kids love Logan Paul. Adults fucking hate Logan Paul. So if you're gonna try to make it more adult type and more fun for lifelong fans and diehards and stuff, if you put the title on Logan Paul, a lot of people are gonna stop watching.
I mean,
So
but that's where I said like within a year or two they can still build him up.
even in a year or two, dude, I'm telling you, Logan Paul has so much hate, just like his brother. I mean, look, dude, they've been
Now,
doing their shit for years, and I
well,
know, I know,
out.
Logan is different, but they're still not liked, and it's
I mean,
been years.
yeah. I mean, that's because a lot of people just need to hate on something now, and people don't forget, especially the whole uh, Forest in Japan
Yeah.
thing.
Hmm.
You know that is within Logan's history forever, and it was on camera. It's it's been transcribed onto the internet itself, so anyone who wants to know about will learn about it, and it's just really up to people to change their minds and see Logan Paul as the character Logan Paul, or just hate him as Logan Paul for what he did.
Right. And see, it's also hard because I don't really hate him because of the Japanese stuff. He's just a
Yeah,
cocky prick. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, and that's the thing is I think that that's what he's is like he tries to make amends for that shit, but he's still a fucking douche.
Like
And you look at the
he
way that he treats his friends on his podcast and all that stuff, like that's not the way you treat people. Like you don't like just because you made it big because of YouTube and you were one or Vine and you were one of the first few to do it, you don't treat people around you poorly. And that's what he does. And he makes money off of making fun of his friends and talking shit to his friends. And granted, that might be a persona or whatever, and that gets views, but it's not going to make people like you. So it's just one of those things where, like, he's cocky. He says he's confident, but he's not. He's cocky. There's a difference. And regardless of the Japanese forest shit, regardless of all the other stuff that he's done, he needs to stop trying to be a babyface and just be himself. And then maybe people would actually come around a little bit, right?
maybe, yeah, maybe within like next couple of months he sees that being a baby face, especially with the heat on him, is just fucking like a lot of work. You know, you gotta make sure without erasing your past, really put yourself over. But yeah,
Right, and he's
like I
not
said,
doing that either by being a jerk to the fans and calling them dummies
dumb.
and
Yeah, like I
yeah,
said, he
so
might be like maybe he already thought about that, and maybe after Crown Jewel we might see a more real world version of Logan Paul in WWE where he's a jackass to everyone. Ran. If he goes full time rather than like part time, like not just appearing here and there. If he shows up like as a star, there's a chance that he can be one of the I won't say Miz like heels, but pretty much the same category, or is like the
yeah,
reality star heel kind of guy. We can see that. We
yeah,
can see it.
definitely. I just hope his brother stays the fuck away.
I'm fine with Logan. I don't care about Jake. He can go away. Because
Yeah, I agree.
like you said earlier, even though they're both douchebags, at least Logan, even if it's only for to save face, is working on something to make to be more tolerable. Jake is just straight up looks like a douchebag.
Hmm.
But anyway, that's it for SmackDown.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
That's it for SmackDown, and we're on to Monday Night Raw.
Mm.
Starting off with the Judgment Day promo segment with the OC.
Yeah, and
I
Dominic, of
mean,
course, was
yeah.
comparing himself to Eddie, and he's saying he's the greatest luchador of all time, and
Hey, at least
he got a lot of heel heat. But
he
anytime
mentioned he's dead. At least he mentioned he's
his
dead.
real poppy, right?
Exactly.
See, and that's the thing too, is like he like a lot of people online I saw were saying, "Oh, well, he's getting a lot of real heat." Anytime
I mean,
anybody
it's
talks
cheap
about
heat.
Eddie in a weird way, it's cheap heat. Like the Logan Paul shit at
I was about to
WrestleMania.
say it
Like,
was perfect.
yeah, it's
It was
cheap
an
heat. But
easy way to get heat from the crowd because
and then the
everyone
funny
loves
part
Eddie.
was is the funny part too was that AJ compared him to James
And
Ellsworth, and I thought that was hilarious. The
I,
no
I
chin
s-
man.
yeah, I was about to say like as soon as because I like there was a time when I got back, I would watch people share their opinions about the PG era, especially I think 2016 SmackDown. Was it that time where it was stacked with AJ? Then they also have the James Ellsworth stuff. I think it
I
was
think so because it
2016.
was around the time because I think that's when AJ came to WWE.
Yeah.
Was like 2016, and that was when So
So I when they mentioned James Ellsworth, I was like, oh my god,
no
bro,
chin man.
the guy who got Clash, what was it? Styles Clash banned for a while,
Yeah, and
and
he
Styles
also
Clash
got
was great.
Carmella the Money in the Bank contract.
Oh really?
So yeah, like you don't. Okay, so
I didn't.
Carmella was in the Money in the Bank match, and he came out, climbed the ladder, grabbed the briefcase, and dropped it down and gave it to Carmella, and that's how she had that Money in the Bank the first time.
Wow.
So,
Hey, you know what? What
but he
is James
made
Ellsworth?
what's that?
What is James Ellsworth? I always thought he was like a celebrity that likes to like dick out. And then exactly, I found out he's not a celebrity. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Just
He's a
showing
no
up.
chin man who made chicken salad out of chicken shit, and more power to him.
Hey, you
And
know, he made the character work.
he made that money too, so good for him.
Uh,
I
he was
mean,
like working with the top guys. You know, it's
he worked with
fucking
Dean Ambrose, helped him win the fucking title.
yeah.
Like Jesus,
Out of all,
what a
out
crazy
of
time.
exactly, dude. James Ellsworth is just like great reference, but I was just like, wow. At least it was AJ who mentioned him. You know, it makes sense because they had a legit feud for a while.
Yeah,
And the
which is funny.
Anderson versus Balor with Luke Gallows getting fucking powers. I think that's like
Yeah, I
I think
know.
that was like the most the moment from that match. And
That was
I like
great.
Rhea's reaction to too sweet, I was like, oh, okay,
The,
that was
that was
great.
the moment, and I was also upset because at the start of the match, Finn was selling his leg like a champ. And then he goes to get up for the coup de grace, and his leg's completely fine.
Fair, yeah,
So,
that's true.
it's like you sell your leg the whole time. And I mean, he was like limping, holding on to it. And then all of a sudden, it's just back to normal. Like, what happened, right? Did you get a magic star, like a Mario magic star, and you were
He
just like
got
ready
the
to go,
he got all
Like,
the
but yeah,
adrenaline
no.
rush to his leg, just his
I was
leg, just
Man,
his
dude, Olivia and I
one
were
leg.
watching that shit, and when Luke Gallows I was like, "There's no way." And then she picked up Luke Gallows. I was like, "Holy shit,
Dude,
dude!
I was
This
saying,
chick is something else."
no way, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
boom,
I was like, what? I was like,
right?
no fucking way. She just picked him up, and Luke Gallows
That
is
was pretty
huge.
sick.
I
He's a
mean,
big dude. Hell yeah.
he was Kane for a little while. So yeah, I
Yeah,
was just
fake
like,
Kane and then Festus, and
I
yeah,
was
we.
like, what the fuck? Rhea just and she did it like I wouldn't say effortlessly, but she made it look like it was effortlessly.
And credit to Gallows too,
Of course.
because he made that look effortless help with her,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a big. See, that's why Big LG's great, man. Like, it's hard to do that shit when you're a big dude and a woman's picking you up and you make it look effortless, even though you're having to help her.
Yeah.
That just goes to show that dude is something else. And but the Rhea, that thing, dude, that did make the whole match. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't even care that Finn beat Carl now. It's like, what the
Yeah,
fuck just happened?
I was gonna say like I forgot about the ending of the match. Then I remembered Rhea blowed Anderson, which I was gonna mention later. But I actually, for some reason, I enjoyed this segment when it was like they had the commercial break in between them. It was Luke saying, "Yeah, I have a way with the ladies," and you just see Anderson and AJ going, "He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have a way with the ladies," and he comes back, getting blowed. I was like, perfect. I love it. It was great. That was
No, they're
great.
so good. I love those and I'm so glad they're back together, man. Like,
They have
and it's
great
good.
chemistry.
And it's good to see that AJ has like an actual direction because for the past few years, like he wanted, that's why he wanted to be on Raw so he could go to his son's football games, spend more time with family. So he's got what he wanted, right? But us fans know that he could do a hell of a lot more than he's been doing. So it's good to see him have some direction and doing something that he's obviously passionate about with his boys. So it's good to see.
Following that
And
up
then
we have the Gargano, the backstage promo, backstage segments to a Miz promo that, wow, this is continuous, and that followed up with Truth coming out and having a match with Miz. I actually missed the match, but I did catch a bit of the segment.
The match was actually really good. The match was good. Truth can still work, and
Oh, of course.
the ending was perfect because the Miz was in control, and then he goes and he's looking in the crowd and he thinks he sees Loomis because there's a hooded figure with
Oh, it's
Loomis's
Gargano,
gloves.
right?
Yeah, and it turned out to be Gargano, and awesome that Truth got a victory too. I mean, people say that wins and losses don't matter, but they do. And it was in his hometown, and dude, the crowd went wild for Truth. I mean, they were like, singing along with him, doing the "What's up" shit, like popping like a
yeah,
bitch.
I was about to say I did right before I muted the show. I that's how I know Truth came out, and I was like, as soon as he came out, that my buddy was on, and I was doing something else. I had to mute the show, but I would constantly go back and forth to see what's going on, and I was
Right.
I missed it.
So it's clear that Gargano and Loomis are in cahoots. So,
but
I really think
what is
that we're getting
secret?
right. I want.
But then
I want to
again,
know the secret is too.
people are saying that it could be related to Ciampa because Ciampa hasn't been around.
But he had surgery. He had hip surgery.
No, but that's I mean in kayfabe. That's in like real
Right,
life or something,
yeah.
So what? It could be that. It could be something else. It could just be Loomis trying to see how much Miz loves Maurice, similar to how Gargano loves LeRae. It could be just that, the silly, over the top storyline.
Well, and that's what I think it's going to be, is because that's what basically happened with Theory in NXT with Loomis. Is that Loomis just wanted to hang out with Theory, and it turned out because Theory got kidnapped by Loomis, and then showed back up and was like all happy and everything. And Gargano was like, "Dude, you just got kidnapped. What's going on? Like, what happened?" And Theory's like, "What do you mean, what happened? We just played video games and drew pictures and ate a lot of cereal."
I need to watch. I need.
Dude, that shit is so good, man, and I think it's probably going to lead to something where like the Miz got kidnapped and he enjoyed having time with Loomis, and maybe that's the secret, and maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but maybe there is no secret. Maybe it's just Gargano egging the Miz on so he can get his ass kicked, and then it's just I don't know, but it.
It
was a lot of
fun. Beginning, we don't know where any of this goes. We can just assume that it's gonna go here because of how they did it before. But Bray Wyatt stuff, the whole Loomis stuff, it's just like we don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen next.
We're along for the ride, mate.
And then following the Miz match and the whole Miz segment is Candice LeRae backstage interview.
And got jumped.
Of course. So I'm guessing Candice is now gonna feud with Bayley. I'm gonna jump here a bit. Bayley winning the title. I guess that's where they're gonna go with, unless they want to continue with Bianca for a little while. Get that third match in, I believe, because the ladder match, Raw match, and then they usually go for a best of
rubber match. Yeah.
But anyway,
do you think that happens at Crown Jewel, or
Crown Jewel is too soon? I want to say maybe, but I mean they could put it on Survivor Series. I don't know, they might do War Games since they're doing War Games. It might be Damage Control versus whatever team Bianca has, or something.
For all the gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Austin Theory versus Mustafa Ali. Wow, it's the way segments from Miz and Gargano backstage stuff all the way to Austin Theory.
See, and that's one of those things where if you're paying uber attention, it kind of is that like a sign
Yeah,
right? Like, is that like saying something that like the way is coming back? You know what I mean? Which I would love because, like I told you, that shit is gold, and it's funny and it's interesting. But the match between Theory and Ali was also pretty fucking good too.
I
Those
kind of
two guys
missed that
can
one.
work.
I'm upset I missed. I saw it like a little bit, and I know uh, Seth was because I'm sure it's gonna be Seth versus Ali soon,
Yeah,
and I mean I love Seth, and I mean I've been impressed with some of Ali stuff, so I know that's gonna be a banger. So when is it gonna happen? Maybe Crown Jewel, but I don't think so. Maybe just
I
on
think it's just
Raw.
gonna happen on a Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen, just on Raw. And I also want to say too that for a long time I was not a Mustafa Ali fan. But this new incarnation of him where he's doing what all the greats have done, which is turn himself up to 100, and they're allowing him to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and I really like it. I like what he's doing. I like that he's like, trying to take his own spot and shit. And then the best part of that match was when Theory was trying to take a selfie video after like knocking Ali down, and Ali just knocks the shit out of him, and then he falls down ringside. And they actually caught the video. They kept the video on the phone and posted it on social media afterwards. That was fucking hilarious. So,
I like that
but they,
they're using theory to to capture social media stuff as well, like
what
live
do you
tweeting.
think's gonna happen with that Money in the Bank though?
He has to cash it in on a baby face. So it could be. I mean, Roman is at this. I feel like Roman. Sure, he's like leaning towards heel, but he become a tweener now. Like he'll
He's
get
an
some love.
anti-hero type. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said before, if they want a massive heat on Theory, Roman, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess they're still waiting to see. I mean, he has a. They have a year.
Yeah, and I
They
have an
have a
idea of
massive.
what I would want him to do. It's so you remember last week we were talking about ideas for Cody with his return, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. If they think he's ready by WrestleMania, you have Cody win the Rumble, Cody go against Roman for one or both of the titles. They beat the shit out of each other. Cody wins. Theory cashes in on Cody. Then you have a brand new fucking mega heel.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And
But
they still have the. They could still say the American Dream won in the end, but it
and
was taken away.
it would be the exact same story that happened to his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then you let that. Then they have a feud, and then Cody can get it back, right?
Yeah.
Or he can just keep chasing. So it's just that's what I would see unless they plan on having him not cash in and really piss people off and just hold on to it and not cash in and then win it again next year.
That
Which
would be hilarious.
I've seen some people theorize that, or where he gives it to Gargano or loses it to Gargano. But then again, too, like, what's Johnny gonna do? Like, he's
Exactly.
not. I mean, like, that's just they're booked into a weird place with the Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm. And that was during Vince's time too. So yeah, I agree. Like
But also,
they're
too,
still
Trips
working.
loves Theory too.
Yeah,
So
I'm
it's
sure.
just
I'm sure. But if he gives that to, if he had it to a point where he gives it to Gargano, we know what's happening. We know what's gonna happen. Whereas,
and one more thing too is that it got lot more cloudy when they unified the fucking titles.
mm-hmm.
Because if there were still two titles, it would be a
No,
different story.
no. Here's where it was. It got cloudy when Roman got COVID. Because if he didn't have that, we would have Brock versus Roman for the title. Brock could have won it. Roman could have won it. But we'll have Big E facing Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and Bobby Lashley. Now, I mean, of course, E out of the four is the weakest. I wouldn't say weakest, but the lesser star power. But he's working with some of the best. And since Roman got COVID, that's where everything they had. I feel like they had like a set path for both titles, and then he got COVID, and they're okay. Here's the last chance. Here's the last resort. We're gonna unify the titles. And ever since then, like you said, like all the now they're like remodeling their design and their storylines so it like flows well, and it
And they're
makes
building
sense.
back up the Intercontinental Championship and the U.S. Championship.
Uh,
So
That's good at least. And I think that's like one of the better things that came out of it. The mid card titles are more prestigious now, especially with when U.S. title was getting a TV match every single week, and then the IC title have Gunther winning every single match, winning every single defense, and always a banger, after banger after banger.
right.
But yeah, like you said, it's been cloudy since the unification. Yet, at the same time, it did give both. I'd say it did give both the mid cards and the women's division a little bit more time to be to feature.
Right. Totally. I agree.
And up
And then
next,
and then next is just the almost versus four local jobbers. So
okay,
you know what happens.
yeah, same old Giants. Anyway, Chad Gable versus Elias. Excuse me.
It was a fun match, and it was another one that was made earlier on in the night in a backstage segment. That's like the third one.
I'm just surprised. I remember putting up on TV and I just see Riddle in the match raising Elias's hand. I was like, oh, wonder what happened there. But
Yeah, because after the match, Gable and Otis attacked Elias, and Matt came out for the save, and then it'll lead to a tag team match, and then Elias is going to turn on Riddle. That's a little bit more predictable. Because earlier on in the backstage segment, Elias was thinking about hitting Riddle with his guitar. So, yeah, that's a little bit more predictable.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just, when is Randy
but
going to come back? Man, I miss Randy.
I feel like if Randy
Jesus.
comes back, he'll either go to be straight for Roman, or I mean, shit, he could win. He might come back by Elimination Chamber, win that, and then we have a triple threat. Winner takes all.
Who knows, man?
If The Rock doesn't show up anyway, but see, that is such a weird spot. If Rock comes back and it's in Hollywood, it
Right, it makes sense.
it makes perfect sense. But at the same time, would it be for the titles? I mean, obviously they're not gonna give it to Rock unless they want a new title design, belt design. Unless it's a new belt design. I mean, even then they could just give it to Roman.
Well, yeah, and also too, it wouldn't make sense. Like, you're gonna have The Rock come back and beat Roman, and then what? Like, relinquish the titles the next night? Like, that's the way you get the titles off of Roman, maybe. But I don't see that, because also too, you're trying to build Roman up as like the most dominant of all time. That's really the last step of being the tribal chief, is beating The Rock.
Yeah.
So it's gotta happen.
It's already predictable. Like, I won't say predictable, but we know. We can understand. We can see what outcomes they have in mind. It's not gonna be the perfect outcome, but it's an outcome.
Yeah, and then if it even happens,
Yeah,
because like it's like, when do you start the build? Like, are you gonna do like,
Royal Rumble?
are you gonna start the build at Royal Rumble or
Survivor Series? Yeah, I was gonna say day one, but I forgot they.
Or WrestleMania? Like, they'll have The Rock's gonna show up on Raw for a reunion or some shit, and like then they do 6-week build. Like, no, I don't know, man. Because the last.
I was gonna say, unless they do like one of those Roman Reigns appears, let's say Raw, or I mean, it makes more sense if it's SmackDown, because that's the whole Rock thing. He shows up in SmackDown. Let's say he shows up on SmackDown. doing his bloodline speech. Then all of a sudden, Rock comes out. Everyone thinks, hey, Rock is here to acknowledge, oh, not everyone, but the story will be Rock is acknowledging Roman, passing on the Great One's torch, but it eventually leads up to them feuding. At this point, we can just, like we said before, I mean, this like what the fifth time I mentioned this.
Yeah, we're just speculating.
We can speculate, but we don't really know where they're heading towards, especially with
Right.
The Rock. And Cena mentioned this like last year or some other time. It's really hard being a part timer and being a movie guy, an actor, because if you get injured in a match, you're putting up the entire production crew back
Mm-hmm.
by months, maybe a whole year.
Or
So
yeah.
so if let's say worst comes to worst, Rock gets injured, all the things that all the projects he has is gonna get pushed back. So
Mm-hmm.
that's and they're probably gonna go through go to WWE of like, hey, this is on you. We have workers, yada yada yada. But yeah,
Right, and there was all
it's really weird.
those rumors though that he had cleared his schedule, for like
Yeah.
WrestleMania that time in like 3 months or whatever. But we don't know what somebody's personal schedule is and shit like that. And I mean,
Exactly. It's all rumors, so it's
yeah,
not legit.
speculation,
Unless it's confirmed, we can like
and it's
us.
never confirmed either, dude. Like
Exactly.
it's like Cody. Oh, it's all a work. It's like
Hmm.
CM Punk shit. Oh, it's all a work.
Hmm.
But anyways,
Moving
yeah,
on.
the Elias. And moving on, then you got Baron Corbin versus Johnny Gargano.
Actually, what?
Another.
I
Hmm?
didn't. I didn't know that this was a backstage segment. All I know is the
Yep.
JBL showed up and introduced Baron Corbin again. I like JBL. I mean,
I love
you know,
JBL.
he's great.
I
Great
mean,
heel. Great heel. I love it. Weird segment with the Texas border, but great heel. Great heel.
that was great at the time, though. I
At the
mean, that shit
time,
was.
it makes sense.
And you know what's funny is I remember I was a kid too, and I was like, you know what? He's right. He's actually right.
And now we're just
I
like,
mean, I'm
man,
like,
he is not
yeah, and
right.
that's like,
That's wrong.
oh, well, that's a little, yeah, like
That's
chill, JBL.
like that's straight up racist. But
Right?
yeah,
Like, it's just funny.
yeah, it's just funny at the time. Now you're not gonna, it's not gonna fly nowadays, unless they're ballsy enough. That will, and I sometimes I feel like it can still happen, especially if a mega heel does it. Like if JBL does that now and he's a mega heel, everyone will be like, "Damn, that's fucked up," but it fits his character. He's like a douchebag asshole, whatnot.
I don't think it's going to happen ever
Oh, but I
because
don't think so.
of
No.
sponsorships, dude. Like, in how
Yeah.
soft our country is, too. Like, I mean, I don't mean to bring like real world shit, but you look and see what happened to Kanye, right? And like that dude's been saying dumb shit his whole life,
And
and then this is where you draw the line. Okay, so it's where sponsorships like they would pull out, they would be, oh, we condemn WWE for this and that, and the only way that it could change is if like some big ass company bought them out and like only put them on Netflix or on Peacock or something, and then they could do whatever they want, But it's just not.
it's not
It's
that
not going to
world anymore.
happen, and it doesn't really need to happen either. It's just like we
Yeah.
talk about with like the blood shit. Like it doesn't always have like the blood doesn't have to be
Yeah.
there. Like
It if you keep doing it, it loses the flair.
we're talking to you, John Moxley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much anyone in AEW. Anyway, well, of course, that ended with Corbin hitting the end of days.
Yeah, after distracting Gargano, which my boy keeps losing, but at least he
It was
loses screwy every time.
Yeah. And then finally, Bailey and Bianca for the women's champion for Raw, and it was great.
Actually, it wasn't for the women's championship. I thought it was, but it wasn't. It was just a regular match, apparently.
Wait, what?
Yep. Yep. Bianca's still the champion. So
What? I thought that was for the titles. I thought that was for the title. That's why.
I did too, but it's not.
What?
Yeah, I had to
That's
look it
all I
up
can
to
say.
confirm.
What? That is crazy.
But it was still a great match.
I mean,
And
yeah, but I
there
thought.
was a big ass spot too where like Bianca smashed like powerbombed Bailey on the announce table and then slammed her into the ring post. Like that was pretty gnarly. Bailey's
Yeah.
always just HBKing it up out there, man. We're like she's
So
just
Charlotte Flair going to be helping the OC. I don't see that happening.
hey.
I mean, out of all the possibilities, I feel like she's gonna go to SmackDown rather than Raw. Plus,
Yeah,
Drew
but
looks
who
better
else?
on there.
Who's gonna help the OC though? But anyways,
Sasha
first off,
Banks.
let's finish this.
No, I want to
No,
know. I need to know. I had this idea thinking it was for the title match. I could have sworn it was a title match.
let me guess. You read the CBS recap, didn't you?
No, I watched the ending. I thought I saw
It
the
wasn't for the
ref.
title.
I thought I saw the referee give the title to Bailey.
Nope.
I need proof. Here we go. October 24th. Sorry, guys. A little
$60 over your first 6 months.
a little intermission. Oops. Ads. You know what I do with ads? I skip them. I need to see this. I need to see this with my own eyes. I know. Okay, while we're talking, while I'm looking this up, well, let's talk about Nikki's return.
Yeah,
And
see,
and
that's where
and not just a regular return, not Nikki ASH. We're getting back.
Nikki Cross,
Yes, we're getting the crazy bitch. Though I
where that
didn't.
actually wears makeup and looks fine as hell. But yeah, I don't know what. I wonder what they're going to do. I think that they're going to use Nikki possibly as a bridge to take the title off of Bianca and give it to Bailey, probably.
Man, I thought it was for the title. That's why I was
I
saying
told you.
Bailey and LeRae are
I
gonna feud
need
now.
proof. I need proof. I need proof.
I need
Like I
proof,
told
man.
you, how much more proof do you need? Jesus Christ! I told you.
I need proof. I need to see. I need to see it with my own eyes.
But yeah, no, I think that Nikki's just going to be a bridge
Guys,
between
I thought that was the
between
last
them.
ditch effort. You know, like the last chance to win the title. That's why Bailey was throwing that whole promo and shit. I
But
didn't
no, and
know.
then we talked about how it was gonna. There's gonna be a rubber match between the three of them, and that's when Bailey will probably win.
Yeah. Well, I thought Bailey won. That's why I was like, yeah. Then Bianca wins the title back, and then she moves on to a new feud. No,
Boy,
the rubber match is coming up. The last one
let me
is
tell you something. Let me
the
tell you something.
actual
You need to
match.
get your head out of your ass, okay? Get your head out of your ass.
My head is never mind. No, I'm not gonna finish this.
I'm just messing with you because I thought it was for the title too, and then I was like, wait, I was like you, like, wait a minute, what? Because
They made
I,
such a big deal last week
yeah,
about it. That's why.
yeah. And I thought the same thing. So it's all good. It's
That's
just I don't know. Like I said, I think that's going to lead to a triple threat match, probably where Nikki gets the pin to give the title to Bailey, so that Bianca doesn't look weak.
we'll
But
see. We'll see.
we have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They just brought her.
no
and
idea.
We'll see Monday where that goes.
Right.
Anyway, that's it for before we go on into tangents and with speculations and
Which
I mean,
we've already been doing.
Yeah, we did. We literally did that for the past hour and a half.
That's what makes it great, though.
Yeah. Anyway, news. Let's start small first. with
Okay.
Simone Johnson finally debuting.
Yeah, right?
That was awesome. I saw that.
And that was a very crazy, like, I didn't expect her to be a part of that group either. And it's crazy because she sounds like her dad. She's a feminine version of her dad.
and
She is the
okay,
pebble, you know? Like,
this is what and I kudos to Simone for changing her name. I get it. She doesn't want to live under her dad's shadow, you know. If
well, and also, too, you know, Vince probably made her because he wants to trademark her name and shit, too. So,
most likely too, but it's just annoying that people are like, oh, look at that, we already know that's Simone's, why is she there? Or she's just gonna be, she's there because of Dwayne Johnson, you know, her dad. I was like, well,
same shit with Charlotte,
yes.
bro. Same shit.
Exactly. I was like, yes, but two, she changed her name. Sure, our us more actual fans know that it's Rock's daughter, but let's say you show it to a friend and they were like, oh man, yeah, if she's impressive in the ring, I was like, oh, I like her style, and you be like, that's a big, like a massive drop right there. It's like, oh yeah, that's the Rock's daughter. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Exactly. So it just annoys me how everyone just say, like you said, Charlotte Flair, you know, her dad is the biggest, you know, wrestler in all of wrestling, and I mean,
That's a big shadow
yeah,
to live in, and also too when you it's she's talked about it time and time again, and I'm sure that Simone had gone through the same shit. That when you come there, you have a family in the business, you're automatically expected to be great the moment you walk in.
exactly. But if you give yourself,
And
and I'm surprised that Charlotte kept the Flair name, you know.
well, she
But
didn't for a while there, but yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but she managed to be as good as her dad. I mean, her dad is just never.
I mean, I think that truthfully that Charlotte's the greatest women's wrestler ever. So
The
that's just my opinion.
undying Ric Flair. He will.
Yeah, right. Like, golly, man. In a coma for what, like a couple months, and comes back out and wrestles another match where he almost dies 2 times. Like,
He'll be 99. I promise this is my last match. I promise.
and then it's like, no, Ric Flair's last match. It's a corpse match. It's like we're digging up Dusty Rhodes, and it's gonna be Dusty Rhodes' corpse versus Ric Flair's corpse.
It's not just any type of corpse match. It's gonna be a casket match. We're literally gonna put Ric Flair on the ground. We're gonna
reanimate these guys. Like,
we're gonna bring back all his top feuds. Sting will be there
in a wheelchair.
Maybe doing diving off rafters with the wheelchair, or lowering himself down with the wheelchair. Casket match.
Or on a gurney, like seeing his rope, like falling down on a gurney, like Jesus.
Going down, casket match. Whoever loses gets buried, literally, not just.
And then the other one gets buried afterwards too. So
yeah, the other one just gets like tackled and just gets put into the ground.
Everyone gets buried.
Yeah, like, Undertaker shows up to finally rest him and to just say "rest in peace," please, with the please in the ending. Rest in peace. Please, I'm resting.
And by that time, he ain't gonna sound like that. Rest in peace.
Exactly. He'll probably like he'll be a ghost by that time for sure. But
oh God, here comes Kane. That's got to be Kane. Like,
just see a floating ghost.
Oh my God, dude, that's hilarious.
You see an old man. God damn it! Where's my brother out there?
Oh my God, we're going straight to hell, man. Oh Lord. Straight to hell.
Hey, you know what? We're gonna see Taker versus Kane fight again. You know, I'm fine with that. Okay. But anyway, like we said, Simone Johnson, congrats on the massive NXT debut. Ava Rain, as she is now known as. Anyway, moving on to AEW. I saw I didn't really watch the whole video, but apparently MJF has a thing against the Firm now. Or what's happening with the Firm and MJF?
Oh.
I just saw him laid down.
So this is it's a convoluted mess, just like everything that AEW does, right?
Yeah.
So it earlier in the show, he has a promo with Renee Young, or Renee Paquette, whatever the hell you want to call her, and he basically was telling her that he's going to beat the hell out of her husband, and did a really good impression of John Moxley, and did the typical MJF greatness shit. And then Stokely Hathaway comes out and is like, "Oh well, we're gonna make sure that you win this match." And MJF told him, "If you lay a hand on Moxley before Full Gear, you're fired." And Stokely just laughed and walked away. And then, anyways, they had that dumbass fucking championship match between
Oh,
John Moxley and
and
Pentagon or
whatever his
which
name
was
is.
literally just so stupid. Like, why? Like, even AEW lifers were like, why the hell are we even doing this? Like, we know who's going to win. So after the match, the Firm came out and started beating the shit out of John Moxley. MJF comes out and, is like, should I go out there? Should I go out there? He ends up going out there, pushes everybody away, and tells Stokely Hathaway, "You're fired." They attack him, put him through the table, show's over. So a lot of people speculate that it's another bullshit wannabe babyface turn, that he's just like acting like he's gonna turn and he's not going to. But I don't know. I don't know where they're going with it, because it's like, why the hell was he part of the Firm anyways? He could have just been part of the casino match and won it himself. Like, if this is really the end of him in the Firm, what was the point of the Firm to begin with?
What is
So
happening with the Firm? I don't even remember. All I know is Malcolm
they just
Bivens was on it.
they just showed up, at All Out for the casino match, and
Yeah.
I guess it was like every week somebody new with a mask was showing up or something like that, and then it's like Ethan Page, Kenny King, and W. Morrissey, who should be doing way better things, because that dude
Oh,
is
that's
a
Big Cass.
badass, big cast. That dude
Big
is awesome,
Cass.
and then they helped MJF win the casino ladder match.
The Money in the Bank match. Yes, yes.
And then he exactly, and then it was like supposed to be that, like, that was his stable on retainer. Like, if he ever needed him, he would call him type shit. It was just stupid to begin with.
Yeah, that's true. The Firm was just a random segment that they have. I don't know
Yeah,
that one.
and I love Big Cass, dude. That guy's story. He has been through so much. Damn near died because of his problems, and fixed himself, and now looks like $1,000,000. He deserves better than what he's getting, because he's just another guy in that stupid ass stable in the show that just has never ending stables. Like, everybody is in a stable, and it's almost like sometimes people are in two stables.
I mean,
Like, it's,
WWE also has a lot of stables.
yeah, but dude, like,
But
literally,
okay,
but the stables in WWE are more like clustered, like 3 to 4 people. In AEW, you've got like the
I was about to
Jericho
say
Appreciation Society, like
it's
eight or
like
nine
yeah.
people, and two of them don't even ever wrestle. You've got the Blackpool Combat Club, which is already infighting. You've got the Firm. You've got just all these, and none of, and it doesn't work, and I don't
Also,
understand the point of the Firm.
also,
So
I was gonna say, speaking of factions and stables, I noticed that I was at the subreddit Square Circle, and I was seeing a lot of people saying Jericho and the Appreciation Society is still feuding with the Blackpool Combat Club after months and 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 months. So I feel like I get it. Jericho is currently going for what, every ROH champion, or every ROH champion that they have, and beating them. So Claudio, I'm assuming
what about, he's gonna have to go after
Joe,
Samoa Joe?
and then eventually CM Punk. But I mean, who knows? Is CM Punk gonna come back? No one knows. I mean, but yeah, it's
With
just
okay, dude. Okay, hold on. With AEW, dude, you know what's going on, because did you see the little vignette of the Elite or whatever that they showed?
I was watching a video that mentioned that the Elite they have a hype video for the Elite.
It was, but it was a weird kind of hype video where like they were like disappearing from segments that they would show, and then apparently somebody said that they were backstage last night. So, and I don't is CM dude. I don't see CM Punk coming back. Like I don't. And Jericho versus CM Punk is shit anyways. Like they're both geriatric old men that shouldn't even be in a match together, in my opinion. And
It's way past their prime now.
yeah, and
Just go watch the what was it, WrestleMania?
yeah,
When they had a match for the what was it?
and they've
World
even
Heavyweight?
just
For the championship, yeah.
yeah, and I mean it's just I don't know, man. And then another thing is what is going on with Jake Hager? You know, like they had this tag match this week, which was Cesaro and
Wheeler.
Yuta versus Jericho and Garcia. Why wasn't Hager part of that? Like it could have been Hager and Garcia versus them too, because Hager and Cesaro are basically the same size.
Yeah.
You know, like why? What's going on with that poor dude? Like he's still taking bumps, so it's not like he's injured. Like does he just? I mean, I'm sure he's fine because he signed an extension, but
And he looks great.
I feel like, dude,
looks
he's
like
the most like
so much
he's the
better
most
than his, Jack
underutilized.
Swagger.
Yeah, he's the most underutilized guy in AEW, I think. Like
I
that
didn't even
dude, like
recognize him when I saw him when I first watched AEW and they all showed up. I was like, that guy looks familiar, and that's when I
yep,
read it
we the
up,
people.
and that's when I read it up that it was Jack Swagger. I was like, wow, he looks so much better than his debut in WWE or his.
And he's a legit badass too. Like I mean, he's an MMA guy. I mean, he was a college wrestler. Like what's going on? Like
Yeah, he's not.
how are you playing second fiddle to geriatric Jericho, Daniel Garcia, Sammy Guevara? Like you were literally like the fifth or sixth person in your group, and that dude is a badass. Like
He's massive.
it's like W Morrissey. Like it just doesn't make sense. You know, I mean and then the two they're like, what are they doing with Wardlow? Like that poor guy. Like he needs to get his ass to WWE. Like in my opinion, because
He has better matchups there too, rather than like.
well, yeah, and it just seems like AEW dude likes to. They're catering more to the people that like to watch little guys beat the crap out of each other, and there's not much variation in their product, right? Like it's all
All of
very
them are
similar.
high flyers.
Or just smaller technical wrestlers that have
Yeah.
little personality or don't get to show it because they're too busy stuck in a fucking faction. See, and that's another thing with factions is that it waters down people's personality because they don't get to show 100% who they are. You know, and then you got guys like Bryan Danielson who basically left WWE to go to AEW to do worse than he was doing in WWE. Like, what's going on with him? Like, I don't understand. I just half the shit that goes on over in that company, I don't get it, and it's like I get that Tony Khan is rich and it's probably just his playground, but what's your end game here? You know, like seriously, like you bought ROH, really just the video library, which people still don't understand that, and then you're like. You don't do anything with that. You're showcasing ROH people more than your own people. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I heard that.
You know?
I read that he's only doing the ROH stuff until he, whenever, if ever, gets a TV deal for them. But other than that, yeah, that might be in a year. You know.
Well, you know,
happen, so
this
that's
dude
just
has
weird.
been talking about a streaming deal. He's been talking about a streaming deal since WWE I apologize, WWE. Since AEW hit TV, he's been talking about a streaming deal. Where the fuck's the streaming deal? That's been 3 years. The guy, I just feel like is just full of shit all the time. You know?
I feel like they were supposed to wait till. I feel like they were waiting on the merger with Discovery and Warner Brothers, but due to Discovery cleaning the entirety of Warner Brothers, they just got lost in the shuffle and might have to wait a lot more We never know. Like I said, if same with
Right, but here
Ring
thinking of
of
this in
Honor
the
stuff.
business sense. In a business sense, okay. When you're selling your company, you want it to be the most valuable it can be, right? So if Warner Brothers didn't think that AEW makes them valuable by being on HBO Max or some other streaming, that tells you a lot right there.
Okay.
Because think about it, like if AEW was worth a lot of money and was doing really well and Warner Brothers was happy or whatever, don't you think they would do something with it to make their own company more valuable before a merger or a buyout or whatever? They would get more money that way. And they would have more content to sell. You see?
What do you mean?
So
He's hyping
obviously
every day. He's hyping AEW every day.
I know.
To make
It's
sure
just
he
you have
gets
to,
that ratings boost that he needs.
and he still has trouble getting over 1 million viewers.
Yeah.
So it's just,
And
it's a shit show.
I think they've come close multiple times, but never really broke. I think they only broke it once, and ever since
They've gotten over a million views a couple times, but most of the time it's because they're hyping up somebody showing up, or they throw a stupid, meaningless world championship match on TV, or something along those lines, or like everybody tuned in after All Out to see what was going to happen after the media scrum.
Yeah.
It's always gimmicky shit, and then people tune out next week.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, SmackDown is damn near over 2 million viewers a week, which this week it'll probably be lower because they're on FS1
I was about to say they're in a different channel.
because of the World Series. Go Astros.
Ghost Roast.
So that's right.
I like how we just go. I like how we just went Ghost Roast.
That's right. But see,
Hell
that's
yeah.
where those two shows hold steady. They go up and down a little bit, but they're always doing well. And people are like, "Well, it's a growing company." Well, how long is it going to be a growing company, dude?
It's been
Like,
3
how
years,
long?
right? 3, 4
It's been
years?
3 years, and you've got a guy who's a billionaire and is supposedly a fucking business genius
And he has
running
like
it,
what former WWE guys that
and
didn't
he's regressed since his company started.
like he
So
has top performers. He has, John Moxley. He has give me
Bryan
more-
Danielson, MJF, he had
MJF.
CM Punk, he has Kenny Omega, the Bucks, he had Cody. That's just
And it's still where they were at 3 years. Well, I wouldn't say 3 years ago. Maybe last year. Just like the closest they got was when Punk came back, and even then, kind of just got lost in the shuffle and never recovered, I guess.
and that's just where people have to people don't like to hear the truth about that shit. They do the same thing to WWE, but then they want to play the victim when people call it AEW and have actual points.
Mm-hmm.
My point about the streaming deal. Don't you think seriously if it made your company more valuable, you would have gotten them a streaming deal and had them all their content on demand. If that company thought it was going to make it more valuable. Now, if Discover told Warner Brothers, hey, we don't really care too much for AEW, so don't give them a streaming deal, don't put them on, HBO Max, whatever the hell it is, then that even tells you more. It's all a business at the end of the day, and if this little prick has billions of dollars of daddy's money and all this stuff, and he still can't get it done, you just have to open your eyes and be like, look, either he needs to hire people to run his company that aren't wrestlers, or just realize what you are, which is basically Impact Wrestling 2.0, which I love Impact, and that's kind of an insult, but you're never going to compete with WWE if you keep, this path. It's just not going to happen.
Too. They had a
Dude, they did. They did, and they've pissed it away.
Yeah. So especially after Cody left.
See, and that's where people and seeing
Cody is the glue.
I love Cody Rhodes, and probably am people are probably, if they watch this, are he just sucks Cody's dick all day. But it's so obvious that as soon as he left,
everything just went downhill.
Everything started falling apart, man.
Backstage fights happen a lot more often. Media scrum, confusion.
Well, and if it wasn't for him too, he's the one who accepted Dave Meltzer's little bet that an independent promotion couldn't sell at a 10,000 seat arena. He's the one who accepted that bet, and he probably, I mean, I love Kenny Omega to a certain extent. I like the Bucks to a certain extent, but I don't think they had the brain as much as Cody does. I think they had the creativity, you know? And all four of them together did all right. And now that he's gone, it's just letting the inmates run the asylum. TK's too busy getting fucked up on coke and killing himself that, like, you know, and that's it's just a
dick.
See, and there's no way if he allows that guy. See, and that's the thing too is like if you were gonna do a shoot work type thing, that would be great. But it's been so long now that like
if they come back, that's like
it's gonna be like, dude, TK, like you're really that desperate? Like seriously, you're that desperate that you brought back all these fucking idiots that caused you a bunch of drama. You brought them back, and then what? Like then what's the fucking plan? You know, so that's where I don't if I don't see CM Punk coming back to anywhere, but if he comes back to AEW, that's just going to show right there that guy has no nutsack whatsoever and has no idea what he's doing. And that's always been the problem.
So how about this rumor? Well, I wouldn't say a rumor, but more like some people speculated that if Punk doesn't return to AEW, WWE might pick him up. I don't think sure that will give him give them a massive fuck you in the face sort of deal towards AEW, but I feel like Triple H is not gonna risk having, you know, a Punk.
See, well, here's the deal, okay? If Punk came back, stayed healthy the whole time, had good matches, and then the media scrum happened and he was healthy and all that shit, maybe. But the guy proved that he's fragile. He's old. He's not as good as he used to be. The GTS that he does is literally like the worst looking move on the planet. I don't see it. I just don't. And it's not worth it. If he was still the CM Punk that we grew up with and that we both loved, probably, I know I did when I was a kid.
I was indifferent with him. I like his.
I was a big CM Punk fan. Yeah, no, I loved his music.
Yeah, only like his initial run, I didn't see anything past 2008.
Yeah, and so if he was still that same guy or similar, I could see them. But also, too, what room do you have for him? I mean, you don't have.
Is he willing to job to Roman? Is the thing, you know? So
well, and also too, like, you know, you've got guys coming back. You've got Cody coming back. You've got Randy waiting in the wings. You know, you've got Riddle on the come up. You've got Roman. You've got Sammy. You've got KO. You've got fucking Theory, Braun. You've got all these guys. Yeah. Bray, yeah, you have
like some of the people that are stuck in tag teams too, like the Street Profits, both of them. Yeah, there is right now WWE, and I'm not sure if it's because we're finally seeing different versions. You see how back then a lot of people were going for AEW because, you know, everyone thinks it's a better booker compared to Vince, and then later on it just went to shit, and now we're seeing Triple H being the new guy, and at the same time being a better booker. I'm not sure if what I'm saying is pretty much what I'm saying is we're not really quite sure if the booking abilities came from the fact that we're just getting tired of the previous. I don't want to say previous regime, but you know what I mean. Like, you know,
it's almost like a new. It's almost like a new flavor of the month type thing. But the problem is though, is it's been a few months and things have only gotten better. So. And it's almost like Vince went to AEW too, and it's just funny, dude. Like,
and that's
it's
what
funny
I'm saying. Like,
it
could be better within a year. It could still be getting better within a year. But what if, you know? What about in 3 years? You know, after, you know, it could be going to where Tony Khan's heading. You know, it could be just like, all right, now he's just throwing matches here and there. But I mean, I'm not saying that's gonna happen because Triple H
I'll
was
tell
a
you
wrestler.
why. Yeah,
He
and I'll
worked in
tell you why
NXT,
too.
and he understands. He knows
And WWE has writers.
exactly.
AEW doesn't have writers. They
Yeah,
don't. It's that's why it's the same shit over and over again. And wrestlers, very creative people, but there's only so much they can do before they start repeating everything.
hmm
So that's where, like I said, if TK's serious, he needs to get his head out of his own dick hole and hire some writers and just be an on-screen person. Well, even on-screen personality is fucking ridiculous. So he just needs, if he really wants it to work, then he needs to just butt the fuck out, hire some writers, and let them do their magic because he's destroying all the. It's just
it's just sad.
I can't fathom spending so much money like that, dude. And I know it's daddy's money and all that shit, but good lord, man. Like I bitch about having to pay, $50 to fill up my car. Like I can only imagine spending millions and millions of dollars on a company and somehow having your head in the sand and not seeing anything wrong with it,
Yeah,
you know? And
or
it's also
not
too he doesn't have
accepting,
shareholders accountable.
and not
He doesn't have
accepting the
shareholders
fact
holding him.
that he's he's just not. Either he's not seeing it or he's just in denial that it's there. He probably still
See,
sees it.
yeah, yeah, and also
He just
too,
needs
being a
to.
private company, he's a private company. He doesn't have shareholders to answer to like WWE does.
Mhm.
So that plays a part too.
But anyway, that's that was a lot. that
Yeah,
was a lot. But yeah, we pretty much we finished like probably close to 30 minutes ago when it comes to the actual recap of
hmm
this past week. We also, I mean, sure, we didn't really went over NXT because, I mean,
Well, we did. We went over the main thing with Ava Raine.
yeah, the
So
main one. We didn't really talk about the whole other things that happen in NXT, but we went on talking about AEW and its Tony Khan's uh dementia, I guess. You know, he
it's all that
passed.
cocaine, bro. Cocaine
Yeah,
is a hell of a drug.
yeah, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
hmm
Rick James, bitch. But anyway, thank you for joining us today. I'm stuttering. Coming from your very own Texan Nightmare and your Cowboy Burrito. I don't have my burrito blanket. My tortilla blanket's too damn hot. It's not
Yeah,
cozy anymore.
you got the hat.
Yeah,
You got the Filipino JR going on.
It's bleeding like a stuffed pig. But anyway, from us to you, have a wonderful rest of your night or rest
Yes.
of the week, and I'll post all the. I don't know why I'm leaning back. I'll post all the socials down here if I can fit them, but they'll be in description for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely see you all in the next one. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.